Yesterday, in the nation's capital, Vice President Vance did not shy away from strong criticism of the opposition party, asserting that the Democratic Party has been radicalized. He said that one sees this shift reflected in voices like California Governor Gavin Newsom and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. If you were to ask me today who probably the leading contender for Democrats is, and he's gotten angry, Vance remarked, "We used to actually get along. His last text to me was not exactly very pleasant." He said that the reason for that shift, in his view, is that Democratic leaders believe their only path forward comes by going hardcore left-wing base. He named progressive figures such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jasmine Crockett and mentioned what he called the squad. They really are. The power. On the Senate front, he was blunt. Schumer's done. Schumer's done. Done. In his view, the far left has completely taken over that party. What troubled him most was not just ideological drift, but a change in rhetoric. Vance said, in particular, what bothers me is the rhetoric around violence. Reflecting on the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, he said, "You say some controversial things in the United States of America, and that's what you're focused on after a father of 2 young children is murdered in cold blood in the public." That was wrong. He emphasized the need for moral clarity. Murdering somebody is wrong, full stop. Just have the moral clarity to actually say murdering people who you disagree with is disgusting and wrong. In his view, ending political violence requires leaders from both sides who are willing to condemn it without any exception. He contended many on the far left are not willing to condemn it without exception. Turning to younger Americans, Vance described himself as fundamentally an empathetic person, trying to understand their motivations. He pointed to troubling trends. The share of young Americans who marry or own homes has fallen off a cliff. The administration's task, as he sees it, is trying to rebuild that, making it possible to build a life with somebody, making it more affordable to live a good life with the person that you love. He blamed what he called the Biden administration, such a disaster, as one of the reasons so many young Americans have, in his words, become radicalized. He argued that history shows communist revolutions always comes from young people who have been radicalized. His prescription: give them a better opportunity and a better future and a better path forward. He expressed pride in his role, noting, "I'm so honored to serve the President of the United States," because that's what he asks us every single day. How do we serve the interests of Americans first? He concluded this segment by stating the far left will not succeed because there's a better pathway out there. We're charting it every single day. When asked about foreign policy, Vance acknowledged it has defined the first year of this administration. He said the president has been very active in helping to resolve conflict and more around the world. He's expended tremendous political capital. He described the administration's approach as a version of what he calls the Trump doctrine. He said, "We should all talk about it more because I do think it's a unique perspective on American foreign policy, but it's the right perspective." On that basis, he invited the interviewer to pick it up from there. Well, you know, it doesn't mean we won't use that military. Taking out Iran's nuclear sites, the ISIS caliphate, etc., I think it's the perfect balance. Vance then elaborated his framework, peace through strength and wisdom. He said Americans must insist on having the strongest military in the tenants world, because very often if people know you can come, that's what allows you to establish peace in the first place. He added that strength must be paired with diplomacy. You've also got to talk to people. You've got to engage in that aggressive, engaged diplomacy. That, he argued, is why he believes the president's foreign policy track record is exceptional. I don't think there's been a president in a generation who's even come close. For Vance, achievements in foreign policy connect directly to economic gains, trade deals, tariffs, and some $18 trillion in new investments. I really think it's a very unique perspective. On the investigation, codenamed Operation Arctic Frost, Vance said the probe is getting bigger, about to explode. He warned, "I think it's one of the great scandals in American history." I think this is definitionally the Biden administration. the deep state using the apparatus of justice to go after their political opponents. He argued that beyond Arctic frost, you're going to see prosecutions on a whole host of other issues. His advice to Senate Republicans: eventually you need local prosecutors, U.S. attorneys. If you can't get a U.S. attorney appointed because the Democrat won't give you a blue slip, you're going to wake up in a couple of years and realize justice is not being meted out as it should be because we don't have the people on the ground. He noted this is only loosely connected to Arctic frost, but it actually is related because you cannot get the justice for the people who were targeted unless we've got good people, especially in these U.S. attorneys' offices. He added a personal note: from the moment he and Melania came down that escalator, they've been out to destroy him, using the deep powers, deep state to do it, and spying on him, prosecuting him. Vance was direct. Some of this stuff we should and can prosecute. If we don't have the U.S. attorneys on the ground, people are going to get really pissed. Excuse my language. If we don't have the U.S. attorneys to actually achieve justice. Finally, the interviewer asked about Vance's future plans. A year from now, I'm going to ask you, what are your future plans? The Vice President declined to go into detail this time, but assured the audience, thank you.